let's talk about EA's press conference in 2018 at the event EA Play. It was mostly shit, honestly. Let's not give away the spoilers and start off with Battlefield 5. I think Battlefield 5 looks very much interesting. Pretty unique, lots of cool new details, new destruction environments, moving weapons around, whatnot, really good animations, little things like that. Obviously, Frostbite 5 looks gorgeous. And not 6 minutes into E3, we had our first Battle Royale mode announced. Way to go, EA. We don't know when it's going to come. Later on this year. Probably. So we'll see what that entails, what that brings. Hopefully it is very much with the Battlefield type of spin on it, but to be honest, this is what you're going to get from Battlefield and Call of Duty. Battlefield and Call of Duty have never been trendsetters. They just follow the trend, and they tend to do it better than most people because they're very, very polished in that respect. Nothing different here about that. However, we do need to talk about this because it is a point of contention and confusion for many people. No loot boxes, no pay to win, nothing like that. But he did not say no microtransactions. And if you look at the deluxe edition of Battlefield 5 currently, you can get 20 airlifts. Airlifts come with vital components to the game. They also come with one cosmetic item. Now, it doesn't say a randomly rolled cosmetic item. It could be one consistent cosmetic item, and you're going to know what it is. But the vital components to playing the game part does sound a little shifty. Personally, to me, this sounds like a loot box. If it's not a loot box, EA, you need to very quickly clarify what an airlift is. Because, listen, you're going to be... I mean, we're going to give you so much attention, and we're going to look over you with a microscope of every single inch of every single new game you put out. And we're going to give it the pass or fail test. It's good to go. There's no microtransactions here. There's no EA bullshit. Or you're going to get the failed test, and your review scores are going to suffer. You're not going to sell a lot of copies. You're going to get a lot of negative press and attention. We've already done it once before. The internet's already done it once before. They'll do it again if you continue this bullshit. So you need to be extremely clear from the get-go. What are airlifts? What do they have in them? How do people get them? Do they pay for them? Is it in a box? That's a loot box. Simple as that. So we need to know. Really need to know. Okay? After that, we of course had the regular and standard portion of the show. Sports, sports, sports. Shortly after that, a Disney villain was seen on stage talking to you about Origin Access Premier. In reality, though, EA Origin Access Premier does actually look like a good thing. It's much like the Xbox Game Pass. You pay a subscription fee for it monthly, and you're not tied to so many months. So smart consumers know what this means for them. And because there are a lot of questions about Anthem, which we'll get to talk to you about later on in the video, I believe it's $15 a month. You get access to the vault of a ton of previous games by EA, but you also get access to all their newest games, which will include Anthem, Battlefield 5. So this takes a lot of risk away from the consumer. Next up, the Star Wars block portion of EA's show, which was so incredibly small. Basically, DICE came out and talked about Battlefront 2 and how much of a fuck-up it was, and that they're sorry, they're really not. Basically, they're just sad because they didn't sell as much as they should, and EA's probably beating them like a redheaded stepchild with a whip. Mostly because the House of Mouse is beating EA like a redheaded stepchild with the whip, so EA is just passing on the non-consensual violence from company to company, from publisher to developer, and from franchise owner to royalty producer. Same thing that goes around. Then they had Vince Zampella to talk about the new Star Wars game for a whole 30 seconds. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, taking place between Episode 3 and Episode 4, which is a really good place for a game to take place for Respawn. It gives Respawn a little bit more creative freedom. Respawn's not made a bad game. Titanfall 1 and 2 were both great. I think they'll do just fine making Jedi Fallen Order, and I look forward to it. Also, Vince, you look like you're 12. Please grow a beard. Respect you madly, but grow a beard, man. Moving on. Next came the indie section of EA. EA has been as a polite gesture, I would guess, to balance out their completely evil conscience that they have inside them, funding smaller indie games like Unravel. And we got to see Unravel 2. I didn't play the first one. I don't really care about the second one. But if you do, great. Hey, Unravel 2 released yesterday. And of course, they showed an upcoming one that's going to release in 2019, early 2019, Sea of Solitude, which I think looks super interesting. It's about what happens when someone's left alone with their feelings. Command & Conquer Rivals Mobile Edition. As Jenna Bane said it, she's kind of glad her husband's not here to see this because it would destroy him to see Command & Conquer go this way. I wholeheartedly agree. Command & Conquer, you're going down a dark, dark road that will never get you back from, and it's a very sad attempt to monopolize a franchise that was once great into a mobile cash grab. God damn it, EA. They also had In Control and some famous Clash Royale player on stage for like 5 minutes to actually play a game. And the game literally lasted 5 minutes. And next up it's Anthem, so we're literally sitting there like, okay, show us Anthem already, please. Oh god, no, stop. So I hope In Control got paid a good chunk of change for that, because it took up way too much of my time. And Anthem, we got more gameplay, we got more details, we also got a ton more questions than we actually thought we were going to get instead of details, more question marks and more, what? There were not a ton of details about Anthem. Here's the worrying point about Anthem, and I really hope they address this. They need to address these questions before launch. Anthem is being compared to Destiny. And this is a new emerging genre of games. It's a connected world looter shooter. That's kind of what Destiny is. It's a connected world looter shooter type of game. You loot, you shoot, and your world's connected with other people. Anthem is also kind of in that same experience. It's not exactly an MMO because there aren't hundreds of thousands of players that you can see raiding cities or going on huge raids or things like that, or that you can see out in the wild. So it's very much a shared world experience, not a connected world experience in that sense. Not everybody's world is connected to everybody else's. There are specifically single-player sections of this game, such as your main hub area. That is a specifically single-player section. Unfortunately, I think that's a big missed opportunity, because the world being shared between people and you getting to see other people does make it feel more alive, and it's a little bit easier for the game developers as well, because they don't have to do so much into making the world feel alive on themselves. While it's appreciated, other players being there makes it feel more alive, because you can see somebody else that you know is going to go do something along the same vein that you are. And so it makes it really interesting in that respect. So no shared world experience. You're either by yourself or you're inviting 4 of your friends. The world is all one server, so all the events are going to happen for everybody simultaneously. So if there's a giant storm going on, then everyone that's playing the game will see that storm in the same area, which is neat, because you can talk about similar experiences in a place that you've been. But here's where we get to the part about the questions that they've not answered. What is Anthem? Are there in-game activities that we are going to chase? Like, and no one has answered this question yet. Whether it's because they're not ready to talk about it, or whether it's because the answer is no and they don't want to tell us no yet, they need to talk about these issues before release. It's understandable if they aren't ready to talk about them today because they're still trying to make it work, and they'll probably decide up to 3 months before release whether it works or not, whether to scrap it or try to homogenize it into something else as a later on DLC. But these are questions that absolutely need to be answered for the player base. Are there long-term goals for us? The carrot on the end of the stick, as we like to proverbially say. Is there in-game activities? Raid-like. Not raids per se, but raid-like. Because even though they're called raids in Destiny, they're not raids, they're raid-like. They're basically dungeons in Destiny is what they are. They're extensive encounters of several bosses through some mechanics. They're not actual raids, or the traditional MMO sense of the term raid, shall we say. Are there in-game activities which we chase for more exciting and exotic loot? What are we doing once we finish the story? Because we do know there is a very much story-focused section, and arguably large section of this game. We do also know it's open world, though, and that's really it. We know there are 4 classes, but we don't know to what extent does the loot system change of these 4 classes? Even though there are 4 classes of javelins, can the javelins look different? And I'm not referring to paint jobs, I'm referring to armor pieces. Are there different helmets for the ranger? Are there different shoulder plates, different chest pieces, different legs for the ranger that will find these different types of gear as we go on? Or is it just weapons? And if it's just weapons, that's relatively boring. There is a leveling up system for your pilot, and you can hot swap between the javelins, exosuits, the javelins is what they call them, whenever you'd like to, between the Colossus, the Ranger, the Interceptor, and the Storm at any time. But how deep do these skill trees go? What are we looking at in terms of differentiation between one Interceptor to another Interceptor, or one Storm to another, or a Ranger to another? Or are they going to be fairly identical in movesets and powers? But maybe different weapons. How deep does this weapon looting system go? Is it just different rarity? Like, for instance, he said, one of the things that worried me was that he said he has a legendary fire mortar equipped. Okay, are there 5 different rarities of fire mortars? Common, uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary, and then that's it? There's no more fire mortars past that? There's not different types of variations of these heavy weapons? That's, you know, the only thing that slots in there. What are we looking at for that? Is it going to be a very bland, vanilla type of looter-shooter system, or is it going to be more deep? These are the things that we don't know. It's understandable if EA and Anthem and BioWare are not ready to talk about these things yet, because there's still question marks in development, especially with 8 months out before the game releases. But we need to know. We really need to know. Especially before release. Because if we don't know before release, the people that are going to be buying this game are going to be buying it for the wrong reasons, and it's going to catch a lot of flack for that, and it's going to get a lot of negative reviews for that. If you do tell us beforehand, then a lot of people that want to play the game are going to be playing the game based on whether it does or does not have in-game systems, whether it does or does not have raid activities, whether it does or does not have dungeon-like party systems, or whether it does or does not have long-term loot. We need to know these things. It's very important. It's important for the health of the game when it launches, and it's important for BioWare to stay alive as a company, because EA just shot Visceral in the back of the head, okay? So, BioWare, for your own sake, and for the sake of your sales, and for the sake of your happy customers, we need to know these details before the game launches. It's just a matter of fact. That's basically it, though. That is what I thought of the EA press conference. I liked parts of it. I didn't like the majority of it, though. It was very meh, it was very underwhelming, and it left a lot to be desired in the categories of both gameplay, of both knowledge, of both details. It didn't show us a lot, and it's very, very much sad. A lot of people are saying, well, you know, E3 is not for the public, it's really for investors. The fuck it's not for the public? Why is it streamed on Mixer and Twitch to millions of people then? Why are so many people that play video games on a yearly basis so invested in E3? It's for the public now. We watch it live from our homes every single year. So to give the excuse that, oh, it's for the investors, you're full of shit. It's for us as a public now too, and it's there to impress us, and it's there to sell us on what's coming up. And while some people may not want to admit it, the companies definitely kind of know that in some sense, where they show a lot of stuff off. They know it's a global stage, so that's going to do it for me, though, guys. Thank you for watching. That's my thoughts on EA press conference. Overall, it's a resounding meh. That is going to do it for the Anthem press conference. Feel free to join me on Sunday, starting at 4 p.m. EST, for the Microsoft press conference, and a late one with Bethesda at 9:30 p.m. EST. And we'll also check out the Devolver Digital Conference that night. You can follow me on all my thoughts, tweets, and whatnot over at twitter.com/3GUNSDOWMen, where you can watch the conferences live with me at twitch.tv/GUNZGAMES. Thank you guys for watching. What are your thoughts on E3? What did you enjoy the most out of EA's press conference? Are you looking forward to Anthem? What do you need to know more about the most? I'm Guns. I'll see you guys later. GG.